Hi, third grade. Today we are going to be starting our unit on metric measurement. On Friday, you watched a Brain Pop Junior video on it and did a couple exercises with it to get you started. But today we're going to actually start with the lessons on metric units of measurement. And today what we're going to look at first are metric units of length, and two in particular, the centimeter and the decimeter. So if you have one, I know it may be tricky and you may not, but if you have a ruler that has centimeters marked on it, that would be great to have for this lesson and tomorrow's lesson. But if not, we will be using some on the screen, so you should be okay. But a lot of rulers have inches on one side and centimeters on another. But I was having trouble finding one at my house. I did find a tape measure, or not a tape measure, but a cloth measure that used for sewing and measuring cloth and things like that. So maybe someone has one of those, and it has centimeters and decimeters marked on it as well. So that's what we're going to look at today. Now, we worked on the customary units, inches, feet, yards, etc. Last 2 weeks. Now we're moving to the metric unit of length. They both measure length. It's just a different scale of measuring it. The United States, and I believe there are two other very small countries in the world, are the only ones that use the customary units of length, the inches and the feet. Everyone else uses the metric units. So some of you that's families have come from other countries, your families are probably more familiar with the metric units of length than the customary units. So this may be something that they can actually help you with as well because it's more familiar to them. All right, so the metric units of length, they're all based on a scale of tens or multiples of 10. So we're going to look at those today. What we're looking at right now is part of the beginning of lesson 8-6 in your math books. So you're welcome to have a math book open to 8-6 if you want, or you can follow along here. The centimeter is marked with a cm, and you can see that right. Let's see, get my pen here, right here. Yeah, centimeter. That is the metric unit, the smallest one. So from the edge to here is 1 centimeter. Okay, now centimeters are quite small. And if we're thinking about what is about a centimeter, if we were to stand a paper clip up, let me grab a paper clip here. Or maybe not. Oh, can't grab it. But if I were to stand a paperclip up straight, it would measure about 1 centimeter. Okay. Ooh, Slob's pages are dancing around. Okay, so a centimeter would measure about tall, or from across the bottom, it would measure about 1 centimeter. Okay, so that's a good unit of thought to think of that if you need to know how wide a centimeter is. It's about the width of a paperclip. Now, you can also see here that a decimeter. Now, a decimeter equals, we'll get back to our pen, our decimeter equals 10 centimeters. Okay, so 1 decimeter equals 10 centimeters. So if we put 10 of these together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, if we put 10 centimeters together, we're going to get a decimeter. And a crayon, a new crayon, is about 1 decimeter long. And we can see the abbreviations for centimeter, cm, and decimeter, dm. Okay, centi and deci. Okay, so we see those. Those are our words that help us with these, the roots that help us with these words. Okay, so we're going to do some practice together with the centimeter and decimeter. You can use your own tools if you want and do this along with me, or you can follow along on this page. So we're going to go to our next page. Maybe. I'm learning still. Okay, so here is a ruler again, a centimeter, a decimeter. All right, here's another one. 1 centimeter. This one marks centimeters, but if we were to mark it off, every 10 would be a decimeter, right? Here, here, right? So every 10 would be a decimeter. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to erase my little decimeters for right now. We're going to look at two things. This eraser first. Now, this eraser here would we use centimeters, the little ones, or decimeters, the bigger ones, to measure an eraser? Well, let's look. If I pull this down, hopefully it'll work. Pull it down here. We're going to bring it frontward, bring it forward first. That way we can see. If we're going to bring it down to our ruler, it doesn't want to do that. But we can see that if we line it up to the edge, it measures about 5.5 centimeters. A decimeter would be here. So we're not going to use decimeters to measure this eraser. We're going to use centimeters to measure this eraser. Now, what about this book? I want to measure the length of the book. So we could say, well, this is the length or the height. It all depends on how you're looking at it. But for our page, we're going to turn this to be the length of the book. Now, if I take my ruler and I line it up, we can see that, well, here's 1 decimeter. And, well, here's 2 decimeters. So I could use centimeters, so it's about 20 centimeters, but I could also say that it is about 2 decimeters. So for an eraser, we would use centimeters. It's smaller. Now, it's not the smallest metric unit of length. You see these little tiny lines along inside here from 0 to 1. Those are called millimeters. They're teeny tiny units of measurement of length. But we don't use those as much as centimeters. Centimeters can be used, but they're used for smaller objects like this eraser. Whereas the length of a book, we would use a decimeter because they're a little bit bigger or longer than a centimeter. So we might use it to like measure the height of a lamp or maybe the width of your desk. We'd use decimeters. Centimeters maybe for a pen or a small toy or an earring, something smaller. Okay, so that's what we would use the centimeters for. So centimeters are for smaller objects. Decimeters are for slightly larger objects. Now, not like a car or your kitchen table, although you could, but there are other ways that would be easier. Units, just like we learned with the customary units. All right, so let's look at a couple more. Again, we have our decimeter and our centimeter ruler. We're going to look at a couple of these, but now we're going to see which would be the best estimate. So the length of a mosquito. Here I have this little mosquito guy. Now, would a mosquito be 1 centimeter? That would be here. Or would it be 1 decimeter? That would be here. Or would it be about 3 centimeters? Well, which would be the best estimate? So let's take our little dude here. We're going to put him down here, measure him up, and yeah, he's pretty close to the edge there. He doesn't want to move anymore. There we go. So if we measure him, he's bigger than a centimeter, right? A centimeter is pretty small, and he's not as big as a decimeter. I do not want to see a mosquito that is 1 decimeter long. Now, I'm sure I know there are mosquitoes that big, but I don't really want to be bit by one that big. I don't want to be bit by one at all. But if we're looking at him, he's bigger than 1 centimeter, but he's smaller than 1 decimeter. So he's about 3 centimeters long. Okay, so that is about his length. All right, so let's look at our next item, a garden snake. Okay, We have mosquitoes and snakes here today. All right, so let's look at this snake. Now, this snake is all curled up-ish, right? But if I were to line him up, got lines moving here and everything. If I were to line up his nose with the end, and even rolled up, he's about 13 centimeters, more than a decimeter. But if I were to stretch him out, probably, right, I could stretch him out, right? Even though I'm not going to do that. That doesn't really stretch him out, right? But if I were to stretch him out, make him straight, let's look. Here's 3 centimeters, and here's 1 centimeter. He is not that tiny, right? If I were to stretch him out, he would probably be 3 decimeters, which would be, well, here is 1 decimeter. Here is 2 decimeters. So if I were to go out here, he'd be, that'd be probably maybe a little bit longer. My measurement isn't exact, but that would be another decimeter. So that would be 3 decimeters. So he'd probably be about that long. So that would be our best estimate here, 3 decimeters. Oops, I forgot to mark this one too, 3 centimeters. All right, let's look at one last picture here on this page. We're going to look at a paperclip. That was the paperclip I was trying to get before. Now, the length of a paperclip, if I were to lay this paperclip down, it is it about 3 centimeters, 8 centimeters, or 1 decimeter? Well, let's look at it. Let's line it up here. Oh, it's pretty close. Well, here's 3 centimeters. I think we know our answer. Here is 8 centimeters, and here's 1 decimeter. So we know that we can just tell by seeing it's about 3 centimeters. Now, you might have a bigger paperclip, but that would be a pretty big paperclip. So I would again say 3 centimeters would be our best estimate for that. All right, so let's go to our last page. And on this page, I filled in this table here because this is important to note that 10 centimeters equals a decimeter. Okay, from when we looked back on this page, we saw 10 centimeters equals 1 decimeter. Okay, so this is a very easy conversion of centimeters and decimeters is very easy, much easier than inches and feet, because inches and feet are by what? 12 inches equals a foot, and they're by 12s, and then you have by 3s for feet to yards. Here, everything is by 10s, so 1 decimeter equals 10 centimeters. 2 decimeters equals 20, so it's by tens. 3 equals 30, 4 equals 40, 5 equals 50. So it's much easier system than our customary system. So let's look at some comparisons, okay? We're going to make some comparisons here. 4 decimeters and 43 centimeters. Well, let's see. 4 decimeters. Well, 4 decimeters would be how many centimeters? Well, look at that. Would be 40 centimeters, right? So to put my answer in here, is 40 centimeters greater than, less than, or equal to 43 centimeters? Well, that's pretty easy, right? It is less than. Ugh, Mrs. Loveland's pages like to change all the time. Okay, so it'll be less than. So it's easy to convert these. Okay, so let's look at this. 18 centimeters or 1 decimeter. Well, 1 decimeter equals 10 centimeters. Sorry for the pounding. We have some construction going on. 10 centimeters. So 18 centimeters compared to 10 centimeters. Well, 18 is bigger than 10, so we would be greater than. All right, let's look at this one. 30 centimeters, 3 decimeters. Well, let's go to 3 decimeters. Oh, look at 30 centimeters, 3 decimeters. They are the same. Oops, so they are equal. All right, I'm going to erase a little bit while you listen to the pounding in the other room of my house. Yes. Okay. Here we go. Let's look at this next one. 45 centimeters, 5 decimeters. Well, 5 decimeters, if we look up in the chart, 5 decimeters equals 50 centimeters. So this would be 50 centimeters. This is 45. 45 centimeters would be less than 50 centimeters or 5 decimeters. You see how much easier this is. The conversion is so much quicker and easier because it's just in multiples of 10. So it makes it a little bit easier. So let's look at this. 4 decimeters, 40 centimeters. So we look up here, 4 decimeters, 40 centimeters. That's an easy one. We have an equal. And one last one. Let's do this one last one together. 38 centimeters or 4 decimeters. Well, 4 decimeters equals 40 centimeters. So if we were to compare 38 centimeters to 40 centimeters, it would be less than. All right, so I hope that you see the simplicity in the metric units of length. It is much easier to convert them from centimeters to decimeters, decimeters to centimeters. I want you to now go back to our page and you are going to work on the workbook page a little bit to answer some questions on decimeters and centimeters. If you have a ruler, it might help you to answer the questions. And then tomorrow we're going to move on to a larger measurement of length in the metric system. And we will be meeting tomorrow in a Zoom meeting. So make sure you have a ruler if you have it with centimeters. If you have a meter stick, that would be great, although you may or may not. I know a lot of people have yardsticks, but you might not have a meter stick. But if you have some sort of tape measure that has larger measurements, that's bigger, that you can measure larger distances with, that would be great. All right, until then, I will talk to you tomorrow. And go and do your math practice page now. Talk to you later. Bye.